Once you sell your soul to the devil, he holds the copyright.
The difference between copyright infringement and plagiarism, as most of us know from experience, is extremely confusing. This is because while they are distinctly separate crimes, they're both mainly concerned with the ownership of intellectual property and its misuse, and they overlap very, very often. First, let's talk about copyright infringement. Copyright infringement is a crime against the source. It's regulated by copyright laws, which are enforced by the government. This means that if you use anything that's protected by copyright without the permission of its owner, you could get sued, and the consequences could be as dire as going to jail for several years. This is to protect the rights of the creators of intellectual property, so that they are the ones who benefit from what they create and not any random person with CD writing software. To avoid infringing copyright, all you'd have to do is get permission from the creators. However, a lot of people think that this curbs the overall creativity of culture, because if you wanted to critique or build on someone else's creative work, chances are you probably wouldn't get their permission to do it. The laws are also misused by money-hungry corporations who slap lawsuits on people at the drop of a hat, eager for monetary compensation. Disney, for example, is infamous for their aggressive lawsuits against the most harmless infringers, like elementary schools. It's interesting to note, however, that back when protection under copyright laws lasted for a much shorter time, Disney basically made its name from making modernized animated versions of classic fairy tales, like Snow White, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, you name it. So another thing about copyright laws is that they're subject to change. So the point that many people are trying to make is that culture is enriched by building on itself, and the concept of copyright, although okay in small doses, has, of late, gotten entirely out of control, making it difficult for us to grow as a culture. Now let's talk about plagiarism. Plagiarism, while also dealing with the taking of other people's intellectual property, is actually an entirely different matter. First of all, plagiarism is a crime against the audience. It's regulated and enforced by academic institutions. This means that if you use someone else's work without citing it, while you wouldn't be sued, the consequences could be as dire as expulsion from institutions, and, if you're a professional in your field, reflect very badly on your credibility and have a lasting effect on your career. Citation culture protects audiences from having to deal with incorrect, outdated, or out-of-context information. It also makes sure that creators are given due credit for their efforts, and that their work is not attributed to anybody with the astounding ability to copy and paste. So, to avoid plagiarism, all you'd have to do would be to cite your sources. Citation culture actually protects people's ability to build on already created works. As long as you don't take credit for the things you borrow from other people's work, you're free to critique it or take it further using your own creative instincts. I hope this video helped in making the distinction clearer.